When the alpha ended, I didn't want to write a review. I didn't want to talk about systems or metas, or what class felt strongest. I closed the game thinking, I want to go back. The world didn't ask for anything. It simply invited me in, and I found myself wanting to test every corner of that invitation. The 5 acts became bottled memories, small records of what happened when I stopped chasing progress and just lived there for a while. This is the part where I try to understand it. So I asked myself some simple questions. The kind you ask after a long trip, when the suitcase is still packed and the road hasn't quite left your legs. Here are 10 of them. Questions from the field. A weekend in Monsters and Memories. Number 1. When did the world first feel real? There were 2 moments. The first was the bell. I had to ring it myself to call the lift. And I could miss it if someone else rang first. Oh. Whoops, I guess I get the view again. That tiny inconvenience made the place tangible. Not a menu, not a teleport. Just a world that expected me to pay attention. The second was the ruins. I turned off the UI and I looked up at them. And I thought, damn, I want to go there. Wow. No quest arrow, no villain speech. Just the world saying, look and wonder. And I believed it. I knew somehow I would stand there one day and I would look back at where I began. Once a place felt real, it started teaching me without asking. Number 2, what routine found you without asking? I learned to check my bags by hand, to decide what mattered and what could be thrown to the dirt, to carry food and water, as if the forest would notice if I didn't. Progress wasn't only the XP bar. It was small habits forming on their own. I probably threw away things I'll regret later, quest items, crafting pieces, but I wanted to stay ignorant a little longer. In an alpha, humility is kind of freedom. And of course, freedom leads straight to mistakes. Number 3, what mistake taught you the most? Well, it's gotta be the bees. Confidence turned a camp into a swarm. I dinged level 5 mid-fight. Felt proud for half a second. Okay, there's just one that's still on me. No! Then died and watched the number fall back to 4. There's definitely less of a sting dying at level 2. It's all fun and games, rainbows and butterflies. But dying past level 5 starts to feel like you need an intervention. Not all lessons come from failure. Some came from strangers. So number 4. Who was the first stranger that mattered? This is an important one, and if you've played classic MMOs, you'll understand. It's simple. A buff at a campfire. A drive-by buff in other games. That single icon on my bar shouted classic MMO louder than any trailer. It reminded me of Everquest. I used to wait near the druid rings, tipping for regen, knowing a little kindness could turn a brutal night on my fighter into a manageable one. Number 5. Where feels like home now? Fail and draw. A harbor in the trees, above the danger, where I could sell, craft, breathe. Every good MMO needs a hearth. For me, it was the platforms. The return to town after long roads. Proof that you survived another chapter. Number 6. What small, non-heroic moment stayed with you? For me, it was not a boss, not a victory. It was just a cave that I almost ignored. I went in expecting orcs and found silence. Then a cavern opening to a view of the whole city. No achievement, no reward window, only the feeling of having earned a sight meant for the patient. Number 7. If the weekend were a single sensation. Footsteps at night. Wood under boots. A place that would continue without me. I like to think that my character is still out there in the Weald, going about his days while the servers sleep. Number 8. When did you stop thinking like a tester? I never fully did. I just stopped letting it lead. Knowing the world was temporary let me play honestly. There was one occasion where I spent my entire cash stack on a chain shirt. Pay attention to the wording here. Chain shirt. Not a chest piece or a hauberk. I spent my entire cash stack on a cosmetic shirt with no stats. Normally, I'd get frustrated, but I reminded myself of all the different ways we could test things. Not just bugs, but features and learning experiences. Number 9. How did progress feel compared to other MMOs? Slower than WoW, with less worry on rotations and positioning. Not instant content, but still group heavy. It was not a theme park like WoW either, not a full quest log with icons suffocating your minimap. M&M is more about presence. Monsters and Memories is actually closer to old school RuneScape, I'd say. It's a sandbox where guides exist, but wandering is still a valid profession, where patience and time commitments are honored, but not mandatory. Efficient methods exist and sometimes are satisfying, but you're also free to be as slow and inefficient as you please. For example, if I just want to go AFK fishing, take my mind off of it, yeah, I can do that. It'll be slow, but it'll still get the XP going. If I really wanted to have a more efficient and high APM style of gameplay, there's options for that too. And I feel like Monsters and Memories sits somewhere in the middle there. Monsters and Memories is definitely that sweet spot of sandwich gameplay. Sandwich gameplay is basically having a sandwich in one hand and clicking your mouse with the other. Simple, relaxing, but still fun and atmospheric. But if you really want to push the bounds, then you could play an Enchanter and rule the dungeons yourself, solo, manipulating enemies' thoughts. And I'm obviously not one of those guys, but hats off to you guys. Alright, I can't talk about old school MMOs without talking about my crown jewel, Dark Age of Camelot. I was born too late to play Everquest during its peak, but born just in time to play Dark Age of Camelot with my dad. He used to wake me up at night just to log into his other account and play as shaman. That's how important buffs were in this game, and it's no different in Monsters and Memories. Dark Age of Camelot's DNA was rooted in EverQuest, much like M&M is. Playing M&M brought back these feelings I felt back when I was playing Dark Age of Camelot that I never thought I'd get back. Number 10. If Unlikely could speak as a traveler, he'd say, "The woods welcome those willing to be humbled. Take what you need. Learn the paths. And help someone else find the way." I didn't finish the alpha with answers, only with better questions. And certainty that when the gates open again, I'll know how to walk through them, at least better than before. Thank you for traveling with me and sitting by the fire. I hope to do this again sometime with perhaps your questions, so go ahead and leave some down in the comments below. Thank you very much.